It's a pleasure. Well, our alpha manager of the day is with us. Anshul Saigal of Kotak PMS is now joining in. Anshul, good to have you with us here. Thank you very much for your time. We were just talking about this PVR issue. Any thoughts? Have you spent time thinking about this one in terms of how it would play out?
Honestly, I'm hearing it from you just now, Prashant. I had no clue that this was happening, and so okay. I haven't put my mind to it. But Monday to Thursday looks not too exciting for me. I assume that there will be takers for it in that period, but not for me. So haven't put my mind to it too much.
Maybe college kids, right? I mean, youngsters and so on and so forth.
Senior citizens, housewives, people sitting at homes.
Absolutely. Anshul, any thoughts on the market per se in what it's doing, which is nothing, at least on the index level, absolutely flat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Prashant, two things. One is that clearly this period has told us that it's actually futile to be predicting the markets. As you're well aware, sometime around March, people were circumspect. Anybody you spoke with, I would say out of 10, 9 people were circumspect, and we've seen what's happened with the markets. The small and mid-cap indices have run up over 30% in the last 6 months. And clearly, they've surprised the markets on the upside. The second thing is that with this rally in the small and mid-caps, large caps have relatively become favorably valued as compared to small and mid-caps. And so it would be prudent to take some monies off the table and shift them towards large caps, at least for portfolio managers who are judged on a year-on-year basis. For individuals who are investing for their own capital, that is, they're investing their own capital. For them, it's okay if they have a 3-5 year time horizon to invest their monies and hold this rally. On the other hand, we do see that there is sector rotation that is happening, and there are opportunities which are stock-specific, sector-specific across the markets even today, despite the rally that we have seen in the markets. So this is an interesting market, not so much a buy anything at any price kind of a market, but a much more stock-specific bottom-up market from here to the next 6 to 12 months.
Anshul, one can't buy anything in this market. So can you share some good themes, interesting themes that you have identified in the last, say, 2 or 3 months?
Hi, Reema. I think that this is a market where over the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, pharma has done nothing. And we see that between now and the next 2 to 3 years, pharma in terms of risk reward looks quite interesting. And within pharma, we would look at exporters to the world from India. And so we think that that space looks interesting. Valuations are attractive. Prices are rock bottom, that is of generics in the US. There is room for prices to at least stabilize, not go down any further from here, and for volumes to move up, which should be good for the stock prices. Then there are, slightly smaller sectors like real estate, where there are opportunities, sectors like sugar and ethanol, where we see tremendous opportunity at this time. In addition to that, even within larger sectors like IT and financials, there are opportunities which are off the beaten track, and where if you can do some work, identify really money-making opportunities in the next 6 to 12 months. So there are opportunities, but it's not so easy to make money anymore.
Well, it's never easy to make money, Anshul. Relatively getting even tougher now, you say. There was an interesting development that took place in Laurus Labs, where one of their associates actually went ahead and got an approval for one of their cancer treatment drugs. The price of that treatment was 3 to 4 odd crores. Now, with this coming by, the average price declines to about 10% of that. And they believe that they can scale this business up by 6 times. And as a result of which, they can also reduce the price further to about 20 lakh odd rupees. But Anshul likes the ones that actually make in India and supply to the world. Your thoughts on financials? I remember you liking financials. We had numbers coming in from Federal Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, Karur Vysya Bank as well. How are you, how is your opinion poised in financials right now when it comes to large cap private banks, mid cap private banks, public sector banks and NBFCs?
Mangalam, that's a very interesting question, I must mention, because the large caps have really done very well in the last, say, 2 odd years. And some of them have been seriously re-rated in this period. There are others which were doing very well prior to that, that is in the times of COVID and before that. And those have kind of stagnated as we speak. In the last, say, 3 odd years, many of these banks have given no returns. So amongst the private sector large cap banks, we see relative valuation interest returning to some of those banks which have done nothing over the last 3 years, and waning from some of those banks which have done well in the last 2 years. That's how we see this, because ownership patterns have changed. One is that. Second is, amongst the old private sector banks, we see that there is somewhat of a hangover of past sort of valuations, which is still plaguing these names. While their earnings have rebounded, valuations have gone nowhere. And many of these old private sector banks trade under one-time book for ROAs, which are quite attractive at this time, in the region of 1.4 to 1.6 times. And on price to earnings basis, they trade at as low as 4 to 5 times. We see interest coming here because there is limited ownership in these names. NBFCs, we think that housing finance, NBFCs, some of those are quite attractively valued, and there the NPA cycle is peaking out. NPAs are coming off, which is why earnings will rebound, and that's not priced in yet. So we do find opportunity there as well. There is opportunity in the markets, as I said, but you'll have to do a little bit of work, dig deeper, look for arbitrages on expectations, and there will be money made.
You have any of these textile names in your portfolio, Anshul?
Honestly, nothing just now, Prashant, but that is another space where we think that opportunity will arise in the next 6 to 12 months. We think that cotton prices have been steady. They've been in a range of 60,000 rupees odd over the last, say, 6 to 12 months. We think that if prices remain here and the yarn spread widens, in India, there will be opportunity from yarn particularly, as also from garmenting. So there will be opportunity in the next 6 to 12 months, even in this space.
All right. And of course, there is the India-UK FTA. I don't want to jinx it, but let's just hope it gets done. But that's only towards the end of the month. So another big potential opportunity. I mean, right now, Bangladesh and China are the big exporters of textile apparel, all sorts of textiles to the UK. And of course, to the US, etc. as well. And the hope is with the FTA coming in, maybe, that also gets a big boost out of India. Thanks very much, Anshul. Great speaking with you. Appreciate you joining in, and always a pleasure having you here on CNBC TV18. Well, in some